Hi everyone, it's MJ Lax recording directly from Luxembourg. So I'm back home. A lot of work, much more than in sunny Portugal or Spain. So I'm back to business. A lot of different administrative and kind of meetings and a lot of things. The weather is not as good as in the south, but there's a lot of things I need to do, including studying for a certification in wealth management, investment and wealth management that eToro now requires the Elite and Elite Pro to complete. So that's what will be on the map for the next few months. So that's quite interesting as well. So I'm gonna be back studying. I'm 34 now, so it's almost. So it's not as if I was 20, but it should be fine. It shouldn't be too difficult. So actually looking forward to it. So today's call, I will divide it into three categories as usually. So I will talk a little bit about the past, the present, and the future. So let's talk about the last few months. So we have been in red moderately. So we had over 20% in January. Then we had about 13% in February, which ended up about 6%. And then March and April, we've been in the red. Mainly due to small cap stocks. So actually what made us super successful in January, catapulting 20%, made us a little bit more vulnerable in the last 2 months. So thankfully ASXC, I took profit at 6.5, but obviously it went as low as 1.5. We have decent position around 2.5% there. Otherwise, this was actually quite difficult to be kind of outperforming the index for the first time because S&P was up and our small caps were down. But there's also an opportunity here because after the two months that we've been in the red, now it's time to really catapult the portfolio and go massively up. So this is a very good entry point for those of you who want to add funds or join the copy. So that's there's an opportunity in every challenge, and I think really we will go up massively. So that kind of puts me in the present. Yesterday we had as much as 150, 170% on COCP. I took profit at 307. That was the highest. Took also a little bit of profit at around 2 at the opening of the session when things are growing up. That stock, there's massive profit taking in the evening yesterday in the States, and the stock went a little bit back down, or actually a lot back down, so a lot of the gains will be kind of removed, but we did take some profit, which is great, and actually outperform. Largely we went minus, not even minus 1%, where the Nasdaq was minus 3%, and we almost were in the green at some point when COCP was at its peak. Now today we will have Atenex. There's a merger news that's growing above 50% in the pre-market, so that's also very interesting. We bought Atenex together with COCP on the session on Monday to rebalance, and actually also build 10% cash in the portfolio. This cash I would like to use for hedging, swing trading, and maybe some alternative assets as well. It is incredibly important to keep the risk score low. So we are at risk score 5, and I don't want to be more. So it's actually showing 6 at the moment, but with 10% cash, we will be at 5. And I would like to use this cash based on opportunities, but the risk score is incredibly important because as popular investors, the maximum we can have is 6. And if you touch 7, then you're blocked for 2 months. So this is absolutely out of the question. So as soon as I see 6, I always think about putting the portfolio back down to 5. So that's where we are at the moment. I would like to have those kind of COCP Atenex swing trades with bigger exposure. So I will test the risk score, and that should be possible. One of our copiers who copy us with a lot of his portfolio has a lot of Atenex over 10%, and he's at risk 5. So some of these things are possible. Other than that, Shell and Aston Martin are now the biggest position together with Kier, and the investing has been growing beautifully up. So we have big exposure to Europe. Perhaps I will be an even bigger one with SCS as well, the satellites company. We bought Palantir a little bit. We reduced. The same happened with TAN, with the solar ETF. The momentum is not so great, but we are on the lookout for perhaps some less risky stocks, such as Baba, perhaps something that does not add to risk, but still will perform. Perhaps we'll look into commodities. So that remains to be seen. But again, I want to stay at risk for. Ideal would be to have risk for, and then maybe 20% cash, 20% cash. I always try to keep between 10 and 30, and based on then opportunities to use a little bit of this cash for swing trading. So that would be quite great. And otherwise, the portfolio will stay in its main composition as it is now. Perhaps growing the exposure in Europe because we're still very, very low there. So, for instance, Shell is an incredible opportunity. Now, in terms of the future, I think the next few months will be very good for us. The markets are recovering, the economies are recovering at post-COVID. We are seeing it in the trades. I had a call with eToro with the CEO Yoni, and he was saying that 150% activity in Israel, where they all vaccinated. So it's back not only to 100%, but actually growing. There's a little bit of a pent-up demand. People are sitting on savings, so I expect that to be deployed. We have quite a few stocks in the UK and in Spain that will benefit from this post-COVID trade. And in terms of shorting, we shorted perfectly Netflix just one day before the earnings, and went 10% down. The next day, we made profit on Snapchat. Our Nasdaq short extent would actually be largely in the green now, but it exited at the worst point. So this really haven't been my months in terms of May on April and March. But May is my month. I was born in May, so my birthday is coming up. And obviously, we say in finance, sell in May and go away because there's a lower level activity. People go on holiday and so on. Now, with this year, with the COVID and vaccinations and post-COVID, I think this does not apply. And with the COCP, a massive growth at 10x today, we are seeing also a little bit of risk on for the small caps, so that's great. I think that will benefit us greatly. And as I said, I'll be monitoring very closely and do a little bit of swing trading as well. So that's for the future. We have lost quite a bit of copiers, 500-600 copiers. So I hope that we will get them back with the performance. We are still about 18% up on the year, so that's phenomenal results. If you put that into perspective, 40% last year already, half that in this year. So hopefully we'll finish around 40-50%. So there's good 20-30% growth that I expect from now on. So looking forward to welcoming new copiers. Also with our risk score, as it grows on the 12-month basis, that will be in August. We should appear in a lot of those copy trading statistics and rankings where we are over 60% on 6 months at the moment. So we'll see what the next 4 or 5 months bring, but it's a very, very decent return. So sending my very best regards from Luxembourg. Perhaps before I wrap up, I will comment just on the closing in red. So I do close in red for a few reasons. Number one is to rebalance the portfolio, because actually the risk is measured from the investment value. So if we go down, let's say the volatile stock will actually bring bigger risk if it's held at the previous value position, buying position, then rather than the value position. So if we take the loss and open again, this will actually bring lower risk. This also takes a little bit of the tax burden. We made a lot of profit this year in January, taking profit from BNGO and Ascensus. So this lowers the tax base, which is always beneficial as well. It helps with the copy sync, because I often close few small positions to open one big one. So it's easier then to be fully in sync. And it's also important to cut losses short. So kind of I let go of the losers, and this is one of the things that I learned over the last 17 years in trading, that cutting the losses has been kind of the thing that I needed to learn the most. And having some stop losses and just letting some parts of the portfolio go have been instrumental in our outperformance so far. So very bullish, very positive. Back fully to work in Luxembourg. Have a beautiful office here, so that's fantastic. I will be doing some fundraising, the conferences here in person as well. So stay tuned for that, and happy trading.